In 1987, disc jockey Steve Cook at WTCM-FM in Traverse City, Michigan, recorded a song titled The Legend, which he initially played as an April Fool's Day joke. He based the songs on actual reports of the creature. Cook recorded the song with a keyboard backing and credited it to Bob Farley. After he played the song, Cook received calls from listeners who said that they had encountered a similar creature. In the next weeks after Cook first played the song, it was the most requested song on the station. He also sold cassettes of the songs for $4 and donated proceeds from the single to an animal shelter. Over the years, Cook has received more than 100 reports of the creature's existence. In March 2010, the creature was featured in an episode of Monster Quest. Cook later added verses to the song 1997 after hearing a report of an animal break-in by an unknown canine at a cabin in Luther, Michigan. He re-recorded it again in 2007 with a mandolin backing. In 1961, the manufacturing plant was situated near a large wilderness area called the Hay Marsh in Big Rapids, Michigan. The watchman was provided housing right across the street from the plant and oftentimes conducted guard duty from his porch. He recalled times when he patrolled the plant's perimeter fence at night, regularly hearing coyotes, bears, and other strange sounds out in the darkness at night. Certainly, that would be enough to put anyone on edge and want to stay in the safety of your porch rather than going into the darkness. One night at 3 a.m. during a routine shift on his porch, he heard rustling along the perimeter of the fence near the back of the plant. Drawing his gun, he observed the area around him for a few minutes. A figure then emerged from the darkness. The watchman described this creature as being covered in fur and was much taller than a normal human and had very broad shoulders. To top it off, its face appeared canine with a long snout. The creature switched between being on all fours and on its hind legs as it made its way along the perimeter fence. Instead of firing his gun, the guard ran inside to grab his camera. When he returned, the creature was now prowling its way along the plant's driveway, directly under a lamppost. It was then that the watchman managed to take a picture using a long exposure method due to the low lighting. After this, the creature retreated into the high marsh. Last fall, my son and I were driving on US 41 M28 towards Three Lakes in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, where I live. The beast ran across the highway near Tioga Creek. I had not heard of this before reading Phantoms and Monsters, but this is exactly what we saw. We are familiar with all animals living here. Moose regularly cross in front of drivers, so we watch the sides of the roads carefully. We were very puzzled and thought it might be some mutant wolf and could not figure out what we witnessed. It ran fairly fast, about 50 feet in front of our truck. It was so strange because the front of it was much higher up than the back, larger than a wolf. It did not look exactly like the video or drawings I saw, but very close. The side view shape of the animal was almost like an ape shape, with the front legs longer than the back legs, which made it run funny. It ran like a bear runs, with the exception of the back legs being shorter, if you can picture that. The front, from the angle I saw, looked like it must have had a wide chest. The head appeared wolf-like, but it definitely was not a wolf. The color was brown and black mixed. The hair seemed medlong, like a wolf, and I remember thinking it might have had mange, must have had patches of hair missing. I was telling my son, who is 13, about what I had found on your site and asked him what he remembered. He gave the same description, how very strange and out of place it was. He said that this spring he saw the same type of thing on a logging road near our house. I do remember him telling me that at that time. And it was the same thing. He was riding his dirt bike. We live in an extremely remote area, and it ran across the trail. I know where he is talking about because I pick berries there, and do get a weird feeling like something is watching me. A neighbor told me that area is Bigfoot Central, which I did not know or believe. But after doing further research today, there are a lot of reports of strange creatures in this area that go back many, many years. In Michigan's rugged wilderness, where the trees loom tall and the air hangs heavy with the scent of pine, there lies a story that has haunted the region for decades, a tale of terror, of a creature that prowls the depths of the forest, preying on those who dare to tread its sacred ground. It was October 1st, 1970, when a group of 10 lumberjack men went deep into the heart of the Michigan woods, their axes gleaming in the dappled sunlight as they set about their work. Little did they know, they were about to encounter a force of pure malevolence that would forever alter the course of their lives. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the shadows lengthened, the men made camp for the night, their laughter and banter filling the air as they gathered around the crackling fire. But as darkness fell and the forest grew silent, a sense of unease settled over the group, a feeling that something was watching them from the shadows. It began with a low growl, a primal sound that sent shivers down their spines. At first, they dismissed it as the rumblings of a distant bear, but as the night wore on, the growls grew closer, more menacing, until they seemed to surround them on all sides. The men huddled together, their faces pale with fear, as a massive shape emerged from the darkness, a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. Standing on two legs like a man, yet covered in fur like a beast, its eyes glowed with a fierce intelligence as it fixed its gaze upon the trembling group. With a blood-curdling roar, the creature lunged forward, its massive claws tearing through the air with deadly precision. The men fought back with all their strength, their axes swinging in a desperate bid for survival, but the creature seemed impervious to their blows, its strength and ferocity unmatched. For days, the men endured a living nightmare, their every move shadowed by the relentless pursuit of the creature that stalked them through the darkened woods. With each passing hour, their numbers dwindled, their once bold spirits broken by the unyielding terror that surrounded them. As the days turned into nights, and the nights into endless torment, the men began to lose hope, their minds fraying at the edges as they succumbed to exhaustion and fear. Yet still, they pressed on, driven by a primal instinct to survive, no matter the cost. But as the creature closed in, its eyes gleaming with hunger and madness, the men knew that their time was running out. In one final, desperate act of defiance, they rallied together, their voices raised in a chorus of defiance as they faced down the beast that had haunted their nightmares. And in that moment, as the moon hung low in the ski and the forest echoed with the sounds of their struggle, the men fought with a bravery born of desperation, their cries of defiance echoing through the night as they clashed with the creature that had become their tormentor. But whether they emerged victorious or succumbed to the darkness that lurked within the Michigan woods, one thing was certain. The legend of the Dogman would endure, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk just beyond the edges of our reality, waiting to strike when we least expect it. Michigan on April 22nd in 1990, two intrepid friends, Malcolm and Marcus, were on a journey that would forever alter their perceptions of the world. Renowned for their fascination with the legend of the Dogman sightings, they received a cryptic message from an elderly man named Pat Morrison, claiming to possess a video documenting a horrifying encounter with the creature. Initially skeptical yet intrigued, Malcolm and Marcus decided to enter into the unknown, drawn by the promise of unearthly footage that defied rational explanation. As they arrived at Pat Morrison's secluded home, they were met with a warm welcome that belied the impending terror that awaited them. Seated in the dimly lit living room, Pat Morrison retrieved his old video camera, his weathered hands trembling with a mixture of anticipation and dread. With a solemn warning of the horrors they were about to witness, he pressed play, unleashing a sequence of events that would forever haunt the minds of those who dared to watch. The first video revealed mundane scenes of Pat's meticulously tended garden, a stark contrast to the impending nightmare that lurked just beyond the edges of the frame. As the footage progressed, Pat showcased his collection of firearms, his jovial demeanor masking the impending horror that lurked just beneath the surface. It was the third video that shattered their disbelief, as a deafening gunshot echoed through the air, followed by the startled retreat of wolves into the depths of the forest. Pat's laughter and taunts echoed through the darkness, but Malcolm and Marcus noticed one wolf lingering, its gaze fixed upon the old man with an unsettling intensity. Their hearts pounding in their chests, Malcolm and Marcus watched in horror as the next video unfolded, revealing Pat cowering behind makeshift barricades, his breath ragged with fear. The camera captured the menacing silhouette of a wolf-like creature, its eyes glinting with malevolence as it tore through the door with unnatural strength. With each passing moment, the tension mounted as the creature prowled through the house with a predatory grace. Malcolm and Marcus felt their skin crawl as the creature's movements grew increasingly erratic, its presence a palpable manifestation of primal terror. As dawn approached, Pat emerged from his hiding place, his nerves frayed and his spirit shattered by the encounter. The creature had vanished into the night, leaving behind a trail of destruction and unspeakable horror. As the video came to an end, Malcolm and Marcus sat in stunned silence, their minds reeling from the sheer magnitude of what they had witnessed. They thanked Pat for his bravery in sharing his ordeal, knowing that they would carry the weight of his harrowing experience with them forever. As they left Pat's home, the sun rose over the Michigan landscape, casting long shadows that danced across the forest floor. But for Malcolm and Marcus, the darkness of the night had left an indelible mark on their souls, a reminder of the terrifying truth that lurked just beyond the edges of reality.